ease this thing out of here. Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Salty Country. I'm down here this morning. I'm going to pull the tractor out of the barn and get the battery off so I can charge it. I didn't come down here often enough to keep the battery charged on it, so we're getting back into bush hog season, and so I need to get this thing going. So stick around. We're gonna get this tractor pulled out, get the battery off, get it on the charger, and we'll get into something else today. All right, I've got the strap hooked up to the tractor. Let's see if we can ease it out of the barn so I can get the battery off. All right, I've got this thing pulled out far enough that I can get the hood up, get the battery out. All right, let's see if we can get this thing loosened up real quick. It's real foggy this morning, almost to the point of it looks like it's rained. Everything's wet. All right, there's the ground. See if this height will break loose. Let's see, let me set that out of the way. Well, I can tell you one thing, it had a good connection, but the posts need to be cleaned up a little bit while I got this off. All right, let's see if I can. ease this thing out of here. All right, let me get this on the four-wheeler. One thing I noticed, flip this hood up, is some acorns. So let me see if, yeah, old rag, I keep old rag tied on the tractor all the time, which is an old sock. Go ahead and check this, make sure they haven't decided to store some nuts in the breather. Oh yeah, it looks pretty good. Huh? There is, let me pull this filter out. This one, actually there's more than one. Let's see. That. It's all on the outside of the filter. Here's another nut. This had to be like a little chipmunk. Get all this cleaned out good. Put it back together. I guess it crawled up the tube. It comes up from the front. It's amazing how these little creatures will find a spot like this. Just out of the blue and decide to make a nest or a home or whatever out of it. Yeah, the weather I talked about in the previous episodes was supposed to be raining. It was supposed to start on Friday and rain all weekend, but that didn't happen. It rained Friday, which today's Sunday, but it rained on Friday and nothing yesterday. Let me get me a stick and see if I can get some of this stuff cleaned out. There's a groove in here where this filter sets. Just want to make sure get everything out of here. All right. got this back together. We'll get this battery up on the charger and see if we can get this thing back together today. Check it, make sure everything's serviced good, and then we'll put it back in the barn and get it ready for bush hogging. Here's the area where we've been working with the excavator to get it cleaned up. Making progress each time we work on it. It's getting there. Got it on the charger. Decided to take a ride around the property this morning, down this steep hill to the bottoms. Might see some wildlife down here this morning, you never know. Funny how some trees never really drop their leaves. That tree right there still got the majority of its leaves. It didn't ever drop them through the winter. Standing right there at that target probably 10 or 15 seconds before the thing fell. So yeah, that was a close call for sure. right there. Look here, these trees are starting to bud. Spring's just around the corner. Okay, I'm back down at the tractor. I've got the battery charged. Let me grab I've got a post cleaner, and it'll clean the terminals. I've had this thing for years. So what I'm going to do real quick is clean out these terminals real good. Make sure I got good connection. This is one of those tools that you put into your collection that you may use once a year, once every 3 years, once every 6 years. But anytime you replace a battery, these are very handy to have. Like I said, I've had this thing forever. All right, let's get this battery hooked back up. All right, the one thing that you have to be careful for, if you don't mess with the battery much, is when you're doing the positive post, don't let the wrench hit anything metal, because it will arc. Not that it's going to hurt you, but I guess it can burn you if the arc gets you. But it's not going to be a shocking experience, I should say. It's not going to shock you or anything. It's just going to possibly burn you. Sun's trying to pop out. Supposed to be cloudy for the next 2 days. Alright, so what I did is I added me a rope to make it a little bit easier to get this thing on and, or in and out, I should say. This thing that locks the battery on kind of loosens up from time to time. Doesn't hurt anything. The battery's in here tight, but I'm going to put it back on there and tighten it up. And get it snug. That side over there seems a little bit loose. Oh, that right there seems froze. So I may have to let me tighten this down just a little bit more to compensate for that side. Yeah, here recently, you know, I try not to watch the news much anymore because it's just frustrating at the state of everything and the irresponsibility of people that are supposed to be in power to look out for our best interests. But one thing I've seen that really frustrates me is getting labeled. You know, the folks make up a term that's never been used before, and it's a bad thing. So, you know, all my life growing up, people that were patriotic or believed in America and was, you know, just was good citizens, basically. Now they're getting labeled as bad people. So I guess my 2 cents worth is don't believe it. All right, I'm going to get this thing closed up, and we'll see if it'll fire up. It's probably been a couple months since I started her. And this thing kind of is finicky sometimes, so it has like a certain way that it wants to start. So these Yanmars have a compression release handle over here on my left hand, down low by my left foot. And when you're trying to start these, sometimes, especially cold starts, you can open that compression relief. It'll let the engine turn over really quick. And you can let off of it while you're turning it over, and it'll fire off quicker. At least it's been my experience. All right. Let's see how she's going to do. Does this too sometimes. I think I may need some new bendits on my starter. wax fired up. I typically let it idle at about 1,000 RPMs. Alright, it's smoothed out. But yeah, there's a procedure. You see me sticking my finger down here. There's a stop bolt. If I put my finger there and open the throttle up enough that my finger just fits in there, it usually is 1,000 RPMs. So it fires up. Alright, I'm going to let this thing sit here for a minute and run. Alright, this thing's warming up. It's been a good tractor. We've had this thing probably, I want to say probably 20 years or plus. You know, it's not a big tractor, just a good tractor for maintaining, getting in tight spots. Got a little 4-foot bush hog on it. But I'm going to have to put some new rear tires on it before long because those are showing their age. Probably 2 or 3 years ago, I put new front tires on it. So I'm going to have to see if I can find me some decent rear tires and get those changed out. Okay, got the tractor put back up. I did notice something when I was sitting on it, getting ready to put it back up. The muffler seems like it's got an obstruction. It's kind of making a air sound that it didn't normally have. So, looks like the chipmunks may have dropped some shells and stuff down in my exhaust pipe down into the muffler. So I'm going to see if I can get a new gasket where the muffler screws into the head and pull that thing off and just double check it, make sure that the exhaust is coming out good and no obstruction. But that's going to be all for this episode. I want to thank everyone for watching. Remember, if you like our content, subscribe, share it with your friends. We'll see you on the next one.